Good afternoon. Welcome along. It is Inspire and Be Inspired, weekly motivational conversations. Today, we are talking to one of the UK's most respected women in the soulful house scene. We're going to be finding out about her journey. We're going to be finding about our history together. We've known each other for many, many years. And we are going to be discussing some of the highs and lows of what Miss Marcia Carr believes she has experienced throughout the years. I am always beginning by checking my screen and make sure everything is working. It all looks to be fine. Now, we begin today, Marcia, welcome, by the way, by just stating that yesterday I was live doing a stream from home and I got hit with copyright issues. So we are live on Facebook, and then I'll be loading this up at another time to YouTube. As always, I try to make this as interactive as I can with our friends watching, and we invite them to leave a comment, say hello to you, pick up on anything that you might say, and from time to time I'll interrupt the conversation to draw reference if there is any of that. So you know how we do this, right?
Yes, exactly. I've watched a few episodes.
Okay.
Very engaging as always.
Thank you very much. And you're no stranger also to the world of media and speaking to people, radio shows, interviews, press. We'll get to talk all about that. Thank you for giving me your time today. It's been a long while coming, but we finally got there. And
it's nice of you to ask, so thank you.
Not a problem. In my write-up, I did say that you have just as much experience as anybody in the UK. You are well known and respected around the world, and even though you have reached heights in the previous times, I feel right now you're on a high. I think you've leveled up a little bit, and I want to find out how you've managed to do that and what you believe you've managed to do that. But before we get to that point, we're going to roll it all the way back, right? And yes. We're going to find out how it all began for you. So where would you like to begin?
Well, probably I should start at the beginning, really. I've always been a lover of good quality black music because it started in my infancy. Mm-hmm. As a little nipper, as I like to say, knee high to a grasshopper, using my pocket money to buy 7 inches. It started out. I was influenced definitely by my aunt, who used to go to New York quite regularly and come back with bag loads of records and then host parties. So I'd be around there, me and my brother and other cousin, when they're supposed to be asleep in the bedroom, or rather when I'm supposed to be asleep in the bedroom, I'd find my way into the living room, all these giants of adults, and I'm hearing all this good quality music. So things like that at home, being influenced by my parents' reggae, Stax Motown collection of records, all these sorts of things influenced me. Older cousins who had dances. One of my cousins who lives in, where does he live now? In the States, somewhere in the States, Cousin Percy, used to put on dances at the Podium, the Coliseum down Vauxhall Way. So I'd say all of these kind of things, and going out clubbing as a teenager influenced my strong desire, which only grew more fondly, to explore the world of buying records. And
okay, well, let me pause you there. Thank you for that quick insight. Let me just recap to get some context on this. Just tell me about family life, brothers or sisters, what part of London you're actually from, and very vaguely the era that you would have been growing up around this time, without being specific if you don't want to, about when you were born.
No, I don't want to be specific, because that would reveal my age, wouldn't it, really?
Exactly. So area, brothers and sisters. Joking. Brothers and sisters in what area?
One sibling. Mm-hmm. I have one sibling. He's younger than me. He's not really into music. My brother, I would always say, was quite geeky, into comics and science. He was the brain box in our family. I'm bright, but he was brighter. Academically wise, I was always the person who was into music, extremely tomboyish growing up. I mean, I'd fix the punctures on his bike, my brother. He's got quite an unusual name. His name is Stokely. My mum named him after Stokely Carmichael, who became Kwame Nkrumah. So his name's quite unusual. He's a bit younger than me. So in the 70s, there was a period as well. For a couple of years, I lived in the US, in New York, Brooklyn, and discovered Soul Train. That influenced me. I forgot to mention that because I discovered this black music program, lots of people dancing on there that looked like me. So when we came back to England and I discovered Top of the Pops, I was very disappointed because I just thought I don't know what this is, but it doesn't compare to what I've just been experiencing for 2 years every weekend in New York City. So I would say that kind of influenced the black music of disco and jazz funk. And then in my teen years, I would start going to record shops. But the formative days would have been, I was the person that was into music. My family would ask me to bring the cassette recorder around, or I'd take my little 7 inches and play it on their gram, my aunts, who had that sort of thing.
North London? Did we say North London?
I'm from South London, darling.
I see. I wanted to draw out a little bit of attitude already.
I'm a South Londoner. Do you know what I mean? And all my peers that I went to school with, they talk like that.
Okay.
That's how they spoke. But my mum always encouraged me to speak properly. Mm-hmm. She said, we may have come from a poor background. And this is what I remember my grandmother saying. She came from not a very privileged background in Jamaica, simple schoolgirl education, but she always drilled into my mum, and my mum subsequently drilled into me. Just because we haven't got a financial bucket of money, simple manners, good behavior, speak properly, because we don't want people thinking that we haven't got something up here, So, but as I say, my brother was definitely more academically and geek.
Okay,
Whereas I was always been more creative, drawn to the music, drawn to things like woodwork and what was it called at school? Metalwork. Do you remember metalwork?
I do, yeah.
Right. And design and technology. So I was good with more of my hands, and I just had a natural affinity to dancing. My grandmother was a really good dancer, so I always used to be inspired by her. And my mum is still a great dancer.
Mm-hmm. So that's where you got it from then. That's where you got it from.
Because I would say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree there in that sense. And I really would say that going to clubs and seeing all the boys, the guys dancing as well, I was very quick on picking up steps and then just feet. For me, it was, at the time I didn't know the vocabulary, but it was just me feeling the music. I just somehow can always just feel the music and just get into it. And I'd create my own kind of, not dance, but how I feel the music brought about a unique style, I'd say, for me. And the guys that I'd see in clubs who were predominantly black, in some of the clubs, I was just always mesmerized by their dance moves, and every guy had their own signature style. And then I'd go to all theirs, like the ones that Greg Edwards would host at in the West End, lots of clubs, started sneaking out, going to clubs and things like that, and just found my way onto the dance floor. But all the time I wanted to know, what was that tune? I would go, I remember hearing this tune in New York when I was younger, but not necessarily knowing the names. But I'd go to record shops. One of the first record shops that I ventured into when I must have been about, 15 or 16, was Bluebird Records. And that is how I met Abby Shah, because that's where, before he went to Release the Groove and Release the Pressure with Gary Dillon and all of them guys, and Ricky Morrison and Jeremy Newell in the West End, he worked at Bluebird Records with this other guy. I've forgotten the guy's name, but I remember Abby distinctly from that record shop. I'm going in there. I wasn't initially aware of women at first, but later on, when I did start going into other record shops, I thought there's nobody in here that looks like me. It was just always men.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't put me off. I was just more and more nosy. I wanted to know about the tunes. And sometimes I'd find that my male peers, some of them, they wouldn't tell me about the tunes. So I'd ask a lot of questions from the person serving behind the counter.
So did you find from an early age you felt there was a distinct prejudice then?
Yes, I wasn't even aware of the
sexist.
word. I just thought that there are no women in here, and I don't understand why that is. But it didn't bother me that much. I just thought, well, I'm in here. I want to find out about records. But I did become aware after a few years of going to record shops. I used to go to Dub Vendor in Clapham Junction because they had the small soul section. The guy that used to run that, he started off in the market store behind Clapham Junction Station. So I used to go there. Somehow I just, before the internet, obviously, I just found out about shops, record fairs. I started going to a few of those. Not loads, because I found that I couldn't kind of keep up with some of the prices of some of these records. This was when the rare groove scene started to explode a bit more as well.
So at this point, you mentioned Greg Edwards. At this point, you must have had some other DJs in your line of sight who you looked up to, who you were influenced by. Anyone else immediately spring to mind?
Well, Greg, because I heard him on the radio, and then I put the name to the face because it was, I think it was it Lice? I can't remember the name of the venue, but he used to do all dayers in the late 80s, and I attended some of those. Maybe somebody online might be able to reference.
Well, maybe if not here, Pugwash might be able to help. You mentioned everyone. Let me ask you to allow me to say, we've got a lot of people watching. They're all saying good evening. They're listening and watching, enjoying this trip down memory lane with you. School is here. Jeff Jefferson, Emily and Lisa are talking about there is still prejudice in the world of music. John and Wendy Rogers, Janie, Michael. So thank you all, and everyone else that's coming and checking out the recording. Okay, sorry, forgive me.
So I listened.
You weren't about to say Lyceum, were you?
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't remember if it was the Lyceum, but I used to go to the Lyceum Ballroom.
Okay.
And so that's how I put the name to face of Greg Edwards, because in the South region of London, well, kind of the West End, he would host all dayers. And I went to a lot of little clubs in Streatham and the Camden Town with a few of my friends and a few other all dayers, but I just can't remember the names of these places. It's not good. Radio as well, I would say, influenced me because listening to some of the pirate radio stations like Invicta, Sunrise, those were good stations. And I listened to Capital Radio a bit as well. I think Greg Edwards was on Capital Radio as well. Peter Young was on there. I used to listen to his show because he played black music. So, as I say, all these little pockets of things are like a jigsaw puzzle that I would say had an subliminal influence on me. And it just strengthened my passion to want to find out more about records. So I come across other guys in clubs, become friends with them. Some of them were into buying music. Not all of them were. And again, even in the clubs, there weren't even many female dancers. There were a few, but there really weren't that many. It was just predominantly guys on the dance floor. There were more women at the all-dayers and stuff. I definitely saw that there were, but I found myself gravitating more to wanting to be with the men. I just thought the girls were pants.
Did you find yourself part of an actual crew officially?
No, I was too shy to actually go into the inner circle, as it were, in these circle formations that they would have. I would just sort of always dance on the outskirts and doing my little fling foot.
The words Marcia Carr and shy do not equate. Come on now.
I'm not shy to speak to you or groups of people, but I just felt that my dance steps weren't quite as sharp as some of the guys. So
at that point, yes,
at that point. But then I just became more confident, like with the music. Everything with me has always, in reflection, has always been an almost accidental, organic process or falling into something. I never planned, to be a DJ, or I never planned to be on radio, but the more and more I kept seeing guys in record shops and I wanted to get records and I'd overhear conversations, people talking about things, I thought, well, I can do that. How am I going to get into this? And so I'd speak to people in record shops, and people would invite me in to be on radio. I was on a couple of pirate radio stations. There was one with Jumping Jack Frost, Brian G, and I think Ashley Beadle was on it. Soul FM or something it was called. That's how I met those guys in the late 80s.
Okay.
So it was just coming across people from venturing into like say the record shops, and then I can't remember where I started going into in the West End. It was more my local area, Clapham Junction, Battersea, Dub Vendor. There's one on what's that road, Brixton Road, going towards past Acre Lane, going towards Brixton. I don't even know if it's still there, but there used to be a record shop on the left as if you were coming from Clapham Common. That shop I went into, and other places, and a few record fairs that I'd hear of around the way and through friends.
So how did you get the desire to actually put the records onto the platter and start playing them out? How did that happen?
So I always used to compile my own little mixtapes at home, and I remember when I wanted to learn how to mix, because I used to be cutting on the beat or the break of the record to bring in the next tune, or I would just let it play out. But I felt that I was good at compilations, compiling records, good playlists, shall we say, before Spotify. And then I remember I thought I need to learn how to mix, because when I lived in New York, there was a radio station, and it's still there, to my understanding, called WBLS. And my uncle had mixtapes from this station. And so I heard some of the presenters on there. You know what? I might have even heard Tony Humphries and not even known. But I started to hear things being glued together, as it were. And I realized I need to learn how to mix. So I remember I asked somebody quite clearly, I'm not going to even mention their name, because they might go, no, I didn't say that to you. But they gave me one lesson, which lasted all of 2 minutes, because I didn't get the mix. I couldn't get the mix straight away of the 8 bars on the mix. They said, oh, that's it, you're rubbish, you can't mix.
Spot them up, come on, spot them up.
That was the catalyst to spur me on, because I was so incensed by them saying that. You know,
I need a name. I need a name.
No, because you know them. I'm not saying anything. But I was so mad. I was just like, really? Is that what you think? Okay, then watch me. I'm going to learn. So a friend of mine who emigrated to Canada, I was telling him about it. I said, oh, you know, I asked a certain person and they didn't even want to give me a chance. They just gave in too quickly and gave up. And so I thought, I need to learn how to mix. So he kindly gave me some pointers, and then I kept practicing for about 6 months of records at home, because I bought my decks one by one, saved up my little money, and I've still got the same turntable.
Straight in. I was going to say, so straight into the 1210s or the 1200s, probably.
Yes, because I saw these in record shops as well. So, you know, I asked around, where do I need to get these, and started buying them. I bought one, and then I bought a next one, and then I bought. If my living room wasn't packed up with things at the moment, I would show you. But if anyone who's online has seen my live streams, they'll see that they will have seen those turntables that I've got, and the mixer and things that I have.
Yeah, so we can confirm Marcia is at home. She's having some work done. She's just had the bed delivered, and that's why she's in that room. She isn't in Borstal.
No, or some women's detention centre. I did have a near miss when I was about 16. No, I'm only joking.
Okay, so we got to you DJing spells on pirate radio.
Yes, and the pirate radios initially didn't kind of last that long, because I was also at uni and things like this. And I remember at uni, somebody heard that I played music, and they said, "Oh, we're having a women's thing, and they don't want any male DJs. Will you play?" So I said, "Well, I'm not, because I haven't really mastered the mixing at that point." So I said, "Well, I can play music, but I haven't mastered the mixing." They said, "Oh, that doesn't matter." So I was one of the main DJs at the women's disco. That was that 1980, 88. So before that, I would just been playing music back to back and doing my little mixtapes and things like that. You know, Paul Trouble Anderson, I was listening to him as well. Mm-hmm. He was on.
Just as I was looking at your T-shirt, you say that. That's spooky.
Yes. Yeah. When was that? Now, when was that? I can't remember what station, but before he went to Kiss, I'm sure he was on another station. But
so this has got to be around the time of Soul to Soul, right? Soul to Soul Rising,
yes, 88, 89. Africa Centre. What year? Do you remember what year that was then?
88, 89, I think.
Right. I used to go to that. I used to attend. Although that might have been later, Queer Nation. I used to go to that club regularly.
Okay.
I can't remember when that was, but there were certain different clubs because I was drawn to the music, very early house music and things like that. And I'd go to, the Soul to Soul thing was good because the music was always eclectic. Mm-hmm. It was classed as rare groove, but really what Beres and them guys were playing was actually really eclectic and early sounds of house music and things like that. So
would you say that was quite inspirational for you further down the line?
Because I was already compiling mixtapes like this at home with mostly jazz funk, because I'm an ex-jazz dancer as well, but it was definitely strong elements of kind of jazz funk, jazz fusion, funk and boogie and the disco, because when my aunt used to come back from New York, 1976, 77, 78, 79, she'd bring back lots of, it would be called R&B soul, but now we know, that was disco. That was 80s New York dance, mm-hmm. and stuff, these pigeonholes that they have on and labels on things. But she brought back a lot of jazz funk, a lot of disco, a lot of black music. So that people at the parties going back to that point as well, I would say that was definitely a strong influence. And me getting told of how much time for touching my parents' records at home as well, because they bought the records, they played them once or twice and leave them. So I'm the one who was fasting with the gram, and then my mum changed it to an all-in-one studio hi-fi. Okay. I picked it out of the Littlewoods catalogue. From Littlewoods, it was a Marantz. I picked it. I felt really proud of that because it was top of the range and it cost a bloody arm and a leg. I picked that. She should have never got rid of that because that's worth money now. But I picked that. And that's going back to my tomboyish ways. My mum said, "Oh, you know about these things. You pick it." So I read up all the little... This was when I was geeky like my brother. I did used to read about the Hertz and dB and things like that. Now I can't even remember these things, but I did used to read the small print and compare item number 2 to item number 4 on the page and fold the page, and then we had that was a good little system, that Marantz hi-fi thing.
I won't tell you how I used to analyse the catalogue. I'm sure many people can put two together. Like most young lads at the age of whatever we were. Well, up until last week. Anyway, carry on.
Really? Okay. Yeah, but that's how I bought. That's how I bought some things on hire purchase. That's really how I paid for my first. I paid down for it, my turntable. I wasn't able to afford it just outright. But the nights at the university, it was a polytechnic, then it changed its name to the University of North London. It was down the road from Kiss FM and a few other things that were happening in North London as well. I later went to Jar Shaka. That influenced the resurgence of the reggae within me. Because I don't want to say hate is a strong word. I didn't like reggae growing up. And my mum and dad.
Why? Because did it take you back to some parties that you never wanted to be at? There's got to be a strong reason why you didn't like it.
I just thought maybe it was too slow. I was into the disco boogie, and I thought this is boring. My friends they always thought I was weird, that I wasn't deep into the reggae. I just thought, no, you lot are boring, man. Listen to some Roy Ayers, listen to some Billy Cobham, and they just thought, no, Miles, we don't like. I liked a lot of jazz, like Keith Jarrett and stuff like that. Because I found these records in record shop, and I just found the music deep and amazing, and they just thought I was weird. Mm-hmm. But at the student union at the uni, they asked me to play at the discos, and so early hip hop, the house, the New York sound of the 80s. I had those 12-inch Shalimar and Chaka Khan and Patti LaBelle and things like that. I had these records, Tina Marie. This is what I played. I played those tunes, but again, I kept searching and going deeper into the music. And I had one selection of music, my jazz, funk and stuff. I knew I couldn't play that at certain gigs because they just wouldn't understand it. So I play the more popular sounds of dance music. And then I got into house music. That was just naturally, I got into that. I went through a section of my records the other day, and I thought, oh my gosh, I bought that in 1984, and it's a house record, or it's considered an early house record. I thought, oh, okay, so I was into house then.
Yeah. So how were you affording? How are you affording all of this? I don't think we spoke about.
I had Saturday jobs. Hello, the Saturday jobs. Remember, I bought things out of my catalogue. I bought my bike. I used to cycle a load and bought my bike. I paid down for that weekly. I fixed every puncture on my brother's bike because he was lazy. And he knew I could fix punctures, so Muggins here would do that. I bought my roller skates out of the catalogue.
Wow.
So much things I paid down, and I had, it wasn't just a Saturday job. I worked during the week. After I had college days, and then I'd go to work. That's how I was paying for a lot of my things, my clothes, because I was very much more into fashion. I was quite a style council of Marcia. So I was into, do you remember Haircut 100?
Of course.
Okay, so I had a phase where I was dressing, because I liked how they dressed. Mm-hmm. And as a soul girl, I thought, I need to have the edge when I'm in with the boys. So sometimes I had the little corduroy joggers on and my, what do you call it? Those loafers.
Penny loafers. The penny loafers.
I had 4 pairs of Bass Vegans in the 80s and into the 90s as well. And there was a shop at King's Road that used to sell those. It's called the Natural Shoe Leather Store. I don't know if it's there anymore, but I bought, because clothes are part and parcel with club culture. They really are. I don't necessarily think it might be so strong with the youth these days. They just wear jeans and t-shirts,
and they don't own their clothes. Don't talk about fashion and youngsters.
Oh yeah, you've got teenage kids. Yes, okay then. But I used to make an effort to look like, as my granny would say, smuddy in Jamaica, to look like something going out clubbing as well, because that was important.
And you still do, and I happen to know that you still do. I won't explain why, but just building a website for someone recently that you've been working closely with. So I'm fully aware of all of this.
Okay. So I'm just saying, but the two are synonymous. To me, you can't really have one without the other. And it's funny because I tend to wear. Because I've actually gained a lot of weight due to illnesses and other things going on, I've put on quite a bit of weight. So I tend to cover up with more casual wear. So I wear a lot of T-shirts more and baggy trousers. It's just easy. It's easier. And the tomboy in me has never left. I still prefer to wear trousers over a skirt or a dress. I will wear them, and I have got them, for black tie events when you've got to look the
When it's
part.
ready. Okay, well let me say good evening. So excuse me for cutting you off. Good evening to Bob Jeffries who's watching. He says
Hi, Bob. How
Aaron
you doing,
jumpers,
Bob? You all right?
Aaron jumpers inside your trousers, and hi to Angela as well. Okay, so let's sidestep away, if we may, from the fashion and get back to the music, because there's so much history, so much depth of knowledge that I want to.
Flashbacks right now.
Yeah, exactly. But it's great because I can see the enthusiasm as you're sharing this with us. But yeah, let's go back then to let's get to the early 90s, maybe early 90s.
So after I left uni, what was I doing? I was working part time, and I started my freelance music journalism in the very early 90s. I think it might have even been 89, on the cusp of 89, 90 that I started that, writing for a few fanzines. And then I wrote some pieces for, I'll tell you how I started writing for Touch magazine, because I know the editor. His name was Jamie DeCruz. And I met by chance in the West End. I bumped into the artist. He was a soul R&B artist called Tashan. Mm-hmm. And I said to Jamie, I said, "Oh, you lot need to write a piece about Tashan. He's going to be big, And he said, "Oh, you write it." So I said, "But I've not ever written for you before, really. So why am I going to do that?" He said, "Well, you can speak English, can't you? Don't be funny, Jamie." So I said, "All right then." So I wrote the piece, and it was published. And so
Pugwash
that was another accidental thing. Mm-hmm. What's that?
I was saying Pugwash knows all about Tashan. He's a big fan.
Right, so I fell into that, then started doing more reviews, then writing with Nikki Trax, or writing for her column in Blues and Soul magazine. I've written for Mix Mag updates. So I always kept my hand into the music. So I wasn't really, apart from when I was at uni and the odd party here and there and a few stints at clubs, which again came by accident. Somebody asked me to play at something in the West End, Busby's, and a couple of other things. I wasn't really DJing like some people were, like Paul Trouble Anderson or Dave Pearce and these guys in clubs. I was just doing the odd party here and there. That's what it was, and even family functions. But because in between that time as well, I was trying to teach myself more and get more confident with the mixing and things like that. And remember, I had it in the back of my head, that person said, "Oh, you're never going to learn to mix up. Forget it. Just leave it." And I just thought, how dare they? Actually, how dare they? I was quite upset that they didn't have the confidence in me to give me a chance. Mm-hmm. Thank God I proved them wrong.
I was going, well, fair play for you for not putting them on blast, because I would have been cussing them out on live on air.
Nah, you know what? I don't want to draw attention to.
Okay, we'll move on.
I'm not calling them the enemy, but I don't want to draw attention to the enemy. No, they're not getting any brownie points,
Good. Keep their name out your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, so mid 90s. What's so you're going on, and how did you feel? Was there any resentment's a strong negative word that I know you don't focus on? Was there any resentment or frustration of not getting more exposure and more success on a wider scale?
That's a very good question. Yes, because I've been writing for a few publications, obviously freelance, volunteering almost, not getting paid really for most of these things. It was for the love of music, and because I felt, it will help to get my name out there. And obviously before the internet, this is actually how I got booked, because people would say to me, "Oh, we heard of you because somehow we came across a mixtape of yours from somebody, or we saw some reviews that you wrote, so we'd like to book you for this country." And so that's how I started getting bookings abroad. I didn't have an agent or anything like that. And I was confident by then enough with playing house music and mixing dance music together, even though more with the house, the boogie and the disco, I wasn't that confident, so it would be on the break with those kind of records, because I realised that they're more live, more analog.
I was going to say the wavy drums, I like to call them.
Yeah, so I thought, just cut on the break. Here it comes, here it comes. That's what I would do. And people seem to like my little compilations, mixtapes that I put together. And they loved me at the student youth. So while the whole time I was at uni, 3 years, I DJ'd there at the women's event. So I think that definitely helped to gain my confidence more, because there'd only be about 70, 80, sometimes at 100 people at a push in the room, but I was playing to those people, so it's just looking back, not that we take it for granted, but I hadn't really sort of thought of it like that. I thought I was just doing a good service to help the women students, because they didn't want men DJing. And I also ended up driving the minibus, taking home 20 female students, because I could already drive by then.
Okay.
I had my license in 1987. Had my license, passed first time as well. So I just thought it was like I'm doing a good service, and my confidence just kept growing and growing. And I thought, right, need to be doing some radio more.
Okay, so let's get back to when you were then writing and starting to go into outer. And
yes, not to the same levels as my peers, but I did appreciate the few international bookings that I was starting to get in places like Greece. I went to Greece, Finland, Norway, and some other places, Mallorca, and that kept growing. I also then had my daughter in the 1990s as well, and which impacted on the DJing, because I had to turn down work because I was too proud sometimes to ask family, or could you, not that they hadn't helped me, it wasn't that, but because of the amount of work that was coming in, I thought I can't take liberties, you need to be a mum at home. So I had to decline work. And
are you a very private person, that you've never really spoken much about your early life, your daughter and things like that? Because there are things about your private life that maybe you've never spoken about. Is that on purpose, or just never really came up in conversation?
The latter, probably, and it depends on who I'm speaking to, really. So I'm not one of these women that everything needs to be on social media. Why?
I understand. Okay, yeah. So your daughter came along, so I guess that your foot would have been taken off the gas ever so slightly. Is that how you then started to get more work with your writing, and when did the promotions come into the scene?
Right. Okay. So I was doing the little bits of freelance music journalism that continued. And then when my daughter got a little bit older, I went back to college and did a music production course was it a year or 2 years? And somehow people had, the teachers asked us, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "Well, I've got an interest in music because I already DJ and I write for this publication." So I ended up helping the students. Now, most people won't know this, but I ended up being a teacher for a year. Was it a year? I had to actually grade papers. They trained me how to do it. So I was a teacher. But the reason why I didn't pursue it, because I wanted to get back into DJing. Well, I'm not a teacher. Why am I doing this? But they thought I was really good at it. So I did that. It was music technology. And because I knew a little bit about radio, because I'd already been doing a bit of radio before that. Before I started that course where I ended up being a teacher for a year, I did a radio journalism course as well. That was a 4-month course. I paid for that. And I thought that I would maybe go into news media. That's why I did that course. Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I chose to do it, and I did it. And I thought, no, I don't want. I don't want to be I don't want to be a news presenter after I did the course. So I went through the motions, completed the course, and then decided, no, I don't want to be. I do not want to be that
So
sort of
you
journalist.
wanted to make your mum proud, talking proper on the BBC.
Well, I can do that anyway, or I can talk like that. You know what I mean? I can audition for EastEnders. You know what I mean? It's just natural water for ducks back me. You know what I mean?
Love it.
Um,
South. A bit
I'm a bit of a
south.
chameleon. I'm a bit of a chameleon with accents. I can do quite a few quite well. So all of these things are going on. I'm being a mother at home. I'm also doing nannying and a little bit of au pairing and babysitting because the habit of music. I'm still buying the odd bit of records, but it's starting to increase again. And as my daughter got a little bit older and she was at nursery, I had a little bit more freedom to do more things. So I was working part time. Now, the music PR, how that came along was I can't remember if Nikki Trax asked me or invited me. She had a music PR promotions company called Future Tracks, and so I ended up working with Nikki Trax. Yeah, she used to do, or she wasn't she involved in the Confusion parties, but I worked with Nikki Trax, and so that was really good as well. Learning the other side of what happens with an artist when they release a record. I found that very useful. I continued the writing. Then she asked me to cover her columns even for Blues and Soul. So all of these things kind of naturally came about. I didn't necessarily go looking for them, but I think sometimes what's funny is that I can see talent in other people, but you can't necessarily see it in yourself or your aptitude.
Mm-hmm.
Or or for me, sometimes because doors were closed, I just thought, oh, what's the point of pursuing that? And then other people present me with an opportunity, which has happened before, and I just thought, well, actually, I can do that. Or if they
So
thought
it's
I'm
not for a
capable
lack
of
of
doing it,
confidence.
I'd give it a go, Moss.
But it's not for a lack of confidence or drive. You're not shy on either of those, are you?
Once I get into something, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very loyal. So, if I came to work for you, I'd be loyal to you in the business. That's how I am. Do you know what I mean? I'm not one of these flaky ass people. I'm very loyal. If I believe in that project, then I will give it 100% as if it were my own because I
Mm-hmm.
want the best for that project or person to succeed. I don't like doing things half-heartedly. So that's why when we were working at Future Tracks, we won't just take on records for the sake of it. I'm not into taking on a record to work it, but I think it's a pile of poo. I don't
Mm-hmm.
do things like that. We need to believe in the project, because you're selling it, you're cold calling, selling it to music journalists to say, you need to be reviewing this record or you need to play it on radio.
Yeah. And you've
That's
got to
how it
believe
goes.
you have to believe in it, otherwise you're very transparent.
Exactly, but I know lots of people need to earn money and whatever, but I just couldn't do it. I'd only worked on projects for Nikki that I believed in, or I thought, yeah, this has got some substance, and I remain the same. Lots of people send me promos, and they still ask you for your feedback, don't they, online through those online promotion companies. And I'm quite honest, without being rude. I'll say, well, this is full of expletives, so I can't play this. Yeah. Or do I need to hear the N word? Well, I'm sorry, I can't play that on my radio. Well, sorry, I'm not sorry, but I cannot play this on my radio show. And that's my choosing. And I've been like that since the 90s. A light switch came on my head and I thought, no, I don't want to be playing that. I
Mm-hmm.
saw the record industry was going a different way with certain R&B and hip hop. I've got classic vintage hip hop albums in here. And I just thought, what is
Without
going
that
on with
language.
the N-word business?
This is a perfect opportunity to look at your affinity with gospel music and the church then, because that all ties in very nicely. Was that did that have a big effect on your decisions that you were making as well? Because I know you love gospel music, right?
Yes.
Are you a
Um,
very I wouldn't say spiritual, but you have a big affinity that way with that music?
I don't like to use the word spiritual because
Yeah.
that's a loose term and it means a lot of things.
As I was thinking earlier about asking you about spiritual, I thought I did actually say to myself, I'm sure that isn't a word that Marcia would sit well with.
No, I just think it's a loose word that people apply like paint to anything.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, it's neither here nor there. Like I know you and we've known each other a long time. That's how my relationship, not religion, relationship grew with God. I found myself being drawn closer and closer to the Spirit of God. So to me, it's about relationship, not religion or religiosity or legalism of the church. And so, because my relationship kept developing more, so like I know you and I've gotten to know you more over the years. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
completely.
beyond what you were doing in radio in Birmingham and for Galaxy and things like that, because I already knew of your name, but it was from afar. So God was afar. I had heard of God, I'd heard of Jesus, but it was afar until I made the decision one day. I want to know him much more. And so it's grown and it continues to develop. And every day is something new in my world of my relationship with God. Lots of times I have fallen down, and I learn and pick myself up, and forgiveness comes into that as well, and I've had to even forgive other people for things where really I should have done a good fellas on them and decapitated their kneecaps. That was the old Marcia before she became born again as a Christian, yeah? Otherwise I would have told a few people about their parts, about their cloths and their cloths, yeah?
Yeah. I hear that. I feel that.
Right. And God has been showing me, speaking to my heart and saying, no, let me handle this way. And so it's about a relationship. That's what I mean, as opposed to religiosity, which is, oh, let's go to church at Christmas and just at Easter. You're doing that for the sake of religion or because you want to get your son or daughter into the nice little school down the road. But you have never been to church, but it's a nice little church school down the road. I don't do those sorts of things. And I never had. I would never even before I became a Christian, I would never even blaspheme because I knew it was wrong. Something inside of me just knew it wasn't wrong. So I never used to do that, take God's name in vain. But as my development of relationship has grown and become more intense over the years, I started hearing records and music in a different way, So, but before I got to a point, I think it was when my daughter was born, 1992, 1993, around about that time, 1994. Before that, I'd hear records of the N word or the B word, and I just thought, I don't want to hear this. I just thought, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to play that to anyone, because in my head I started thinking, if I would feel uncomfortable to play that to someone elderly, because I would think that they would be offended by it, and my friends got kids who are 3 years old and 4 years old, and I know that I wouldn't play it to them. I started thinking, well, why am I playing this to anyone else? Yeah. So I started finding either the B-sides of records, or I thought, I'm not playing that record anymore. What I didn't do was I didn't start lecturing other people about it and say, you shouldn't do whatever. I made the decision, this is what I was going to do in my sets. I'm coming differently. Marcia's coming differently now in the sets. And over the years, from the mid-90s, some people started realizing, they said, you played a set and I didn't hear one N-word. And they say, are you religious? And I go, no. I just chosen. I don't. I always say to people, if that's not edifying your spirit, if that's not bringing anything positive to the table, why am I playing it? And they go, oh yeah, what do you mean by that? No, I'd say, especially with the N-word, I'd say, why am I calling another person the N-word? And then it would get people stumped in their tracks. And I'd say, unless we're actually using it for historical, factual reference, as in in 1892 or in 1642, this happened specifically to our ancestors, and they recalled this. Do you see what I'm saying? As in historical factual point. I just thought, I know, why are we calling people that? And I'm at a point now. If you don't actually know my name, just ask me. But I'm not your B. I'm not your bitch, and I'm not the N word.
I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine anybody saying that to your face.
Yeah. People have said that to me. Of course, they've said that to me. When I've worked in food retail and the customers don't get what they want, they start effing and blinding. And the old master wants to pick them up by the scruff of the neck. Remember, I'm quite tomboyish, yeah? So I'm home with the boys. I could tomp down any man, yeah? Don't mess about with Marcia, yeah? My mum instilled that in me as well, because when my dad died when I was young, I had to look after my younger brother and stand up to bullies at school. I got bullied a lot at school, at different points. So it's like, do not play with me because I will wring your neck, was my attitude, So I've had to stand up for myself with a lot of things, and sometimes it's been maybe too defensive.
Well, we'll get on. That's a great point. We will get onto that. I'm going to make a note of coming back to that exact phrase that you've just said, because I'll draw a reference to that. So let's get back to the music. Thank you for sharing those words about your relationship with God, because it is a big part of who you are musically as well.
Yes, definitely for the last 20, 25 years, more so. And so my sets now, I will try to make sure the music it's uplifting. It's going to put a smile on your face. It's going to leave you. You're going to leave the club buzzing from ear to ear, and you've not smoked a joint. You've not done a line of Charlie, and you're not bladdered with 10 pints in you. But the music spoke to you, your inner man, your consciousness, and you thought, wow, something like that. And yes, it can be something direct as a gospel tune, say like Ron Hall, Talk to God, that thumping, stonking, soulful house tune, but it's a banger on the dance floor. Or, it could be something deep, like something from the 70s from Andre Crouch. It's going to speak to you, because we all have a conscience. Some of us are dead, and some of us are a bit more alert, and some of us are very alive. But I just thought the music's got to bless people. I don't want people thinking about committing suicide or slitting their throat or doing something. And there's a lot of music out there that, unfortunately, that does that. I'm not going to pretend. You're not going to pretend. We know there's music out there. The word is demonic. It doesn't uplift you. It doesn't instill anything positive in you. And the records with the N words and the bitch words, to me, I'm not playing it. Everyone else can do what they want to do, but Marcia is not. I'm not going to intentionally play that. A couple of times I caught out on radio thinking I edited a record, and oh my gosh.
So let me ask you then. Let me ask you a question. Because
you're responsible.
You feel responsible, of course. I want to ask, because I'm not sure we're going to get your whole history in this conversation, because we keep getting, which is fantastic, your passion for explaining what you do behind the decks. Shall we continue talking about the music and what you play and how you're going about things now? Or do you want to roll back and continue to tell us about your journey in the field? What would you prefer to talk about?
I like how the conversation is now. It's organic. It doesn't have to be a tight structure, does it?
Okay, because there's I say every conversation I have, because I speak to a lot of interesting people. It's impossible to get their life story in this 2, 3, 4 hours. But I do want to talk about talking music
productions.
Talking music productions, right? I was going to say talking loud for a second. Talking music. So, yeah, because that's where really you came onto my radar. Right. And a lot of
that have been maybe through some, was it music promos or radio promos?
From working on Trace FM, and then from going to Miami, coming down and playing for Bobby and Steve.
Right.
So that era, the golden era of soulful house music. I'm sure I even brought you up onto the radio as well a couple of times at Choice, way before it turned to Galaxy.
And Deli G. Yes,
Indeed. And
definitely.
Smoothie. It might have even been Patrick that introduced me to you, you know.
Oh, okay. Patrick Smooth, maybe. Daily G through kind of mixes and a couple of interviews as well. So, yes. So, Talking Music Productions came about. The name was simply birthed from the fact that I always find myself and initially found myself talking about music. Where I was going out clubbing, I'd start talking to my male peers mostly because I didn't really have any women peers to have deep, engaging conversations as we are now about a Johnny Hammond's record or something by Roy Ayers, and some of the guys would be astounded that I seem to have this knowledge, and I just thought, well, we're just talking about music, aren't we? I used to read the sleeve notes. I don't really do that much these days, but I used to really go in deep to the sleeve notes to the point. There was one point my friends would say, I think Marcia knew who brought the tea into the studio that day when they were mixing like taking a mic. But because I was so geeky about it, I was like that at one point. And there weren't really the women to have these conversations with until I met DJ Lane. And that was like 1988, but 1988 and 1999. But in the 90s, yes, the Winter Music Conference that's held in Miami, and the invitations to Galaxy Radio. Yes, probably with yourself. I can't remember, but I remember that Deli G invited me as well, and other radio stations in other countries like Sri Lanka wanted me to come over and do a newspaper. I need to find it because I thought I kept it. Some big, massive spreadsheet newspaper article about me. Countries like Estonia before it became bigger because of being put on the map more by like Defective Records and things like that with their tours. And other countries. I just was like, I still am always like, wow, you're actually interested in me. Okay. I don't sing, but you're interested in me. I play records. But yeah, I still get amazed by all that. People just seem to be genuinely actually interested to know what it is I do or what I feel that I've contributed to the vast emporium that is the music industry. We're just small pockets within that, really, where I feel like we're almost, I don't want to use the pawns. What comes after the kings and queens on the chessboard?
The bishop or the rook.
I'd like to think we're kind of more the bishop's league, yeah?
Okay.
But rather than the pawns?
I think you do yourself a disservice, my write-up, I don't sensationalise with my words, and
I know what you're like.
You ask anybody in this scene, and you are very highly respected and held in very high regard. So for you to be surprised that people think of you in such a way, that it shouldn't be a way, because you've got the knowledge, you've got the music, you've got the skills, you've showed it, you've got the energy.
Well, thank you, but I don't always feel that's reflected in real life. When you say people highly regard me, I would think, how can I put it without sounding not insensitive or ungrateful? It's not that, but I just think that some people, or maybe it's the promoters, I'm saying, well, if you highly regard me, then book me, please, and don't ask me to come and play for £100 at your gig, which is going to have 60,000 people, and you're playing Joe Blogs over there. 20k for their booking, plus their flight, business class, plus their 6-star hotel, but you want me to come and pay for £100 and drinks.
Well, let's talk about that. Well, let's talk about that.
There's a contradiction there.
No, but let's talk about it then, because, and this will be a slightly downwards conversation, and we're bringing it back up. I mentioned the word defensive earlier, and I underlined it because I remember quite a few years ago, you, relatively recently in your long career, you were very outspoken and you expressed your frustration at, along those same lines about you feel you should be getting more exposure, you feel like you should be doing more. And there was a distinct frustration at why wasn't it happening? Now, obviously, no one else is going to be able to answer that question, but we can discuss why you feel that did happen. And
I
and
feel
then
because I have a strong opinion about things, and you said the word earlier, I'm very passionate and involved, and I feel that this length of service, you have at least 28, 29, 30 years length of service. You haven't been here a minute. So I'm the sort of person, let's say there's a flyer and we have newbies on the flyer and Andy Ward's name down the bottom. Just because you're my friend, I will still take issue at the fact that what the bloody hell is Andy Ward's name doing at the bottom of the flyer? When I know that man has done how much years of service, it should be up the top or in the middle at least, not in the fine print down at the bottom when we need a microscope or a telescopic lens to see your name. So I feel the same about my length of service. I've hard grafted.
Unfortunately, hard graft, it doesn't really translate sometimes. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you then.
Maybe that's why it comes across as, oh, she's a bit intense, Marcia. Well, I've grafted. I've done more than my stripes of work. And I continue to support people and be loyal to them, not because I'm looking for something back, but don't insult me by then putting me on the bottom of the flyer and tell me about, I'm obviously not saying you, that, yeah, you're highly respected, you're this, that, and the other, because you know I can bring people to your dance, but that's not reflected on the flyer or the pay. There's still a strong disparity between how much women get paid and my male peers at whether it's a festival or it's a club night. And also then you have newbies at established agencies that already have their foot in the door at lots of agencies. Their artists coming through and getting much more than you are because they learned how to DJ a year ago or 2 years ago, and they made an appearance on a video streaming platform and it had 1.2 million viewers. Well, we would get that as well if they actually gave us a chance and put us on those platforms because we have earned our stripes to be there. It's not like you slept with someone or you did this or you did that to get there. Do you understand what I'm saying, Andy? Yeah?
I completely understand what you're saying, but unfortunately, that isn't how the music game works. And just length of service. I've had this conversation with a lot of people, being a promoter myself. You and I have spoken about you and coming to play at Vocal Booth. It's no surprise. Well, it's not a secret. It would be a surprise, and people might not know. But the thing is, length of service doesn't necessarily mean that the scene owes you anything. This is a general conversation, not about you yourself. And I do speak this conversation with a lot of people, successful DJs as well, who have said the exact same thing about you, about having their names in small print, and they've been very vocal about it. And sometimes that does get people's back up, and people can come across as being argumentative or opinionated, but that is obviously perception. That is just pure passion coming out, and the frustration bleeds over sometimes in the right way or the wrong way. It depends who you talk to. We all live in an echo chamber, right? Because if you're talking to people who believe you and are with you, they're all saying, yeah, you're right, and then other people are just like, just let it go. You know, it's a very difficult conversation to have.
It is a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because everybody's got opinions. Like we've got rear ends. Everybody's got opinions, but some people seem to be, their opinions may be endorsed or valued or leveled up and put in high esteem. But other people, well, if we're all entitled to have opinions, then we should all be able to have free speech, shouldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
You know. So it's not about saying, oh, I'm entitled to be there, but it's just like, pay me what I'm worth.
Who dictates what you're worth, though?
Well, promoters or agents, when they try and, you say, oh, your fee is this. Oh, well, we've had to pay, Madonna that fee, so we can only pay you a couple of £100. So what are you calling me for then? Do you know, that's insulting. When they actually tell you who the A-list DJ that they booked and they spent their life savings on them. Okay, so what did you call me for then? I'm not here to make up your numbers.
Yeah.
I just feel like, do you want to book me or not? So, but I'm not asking you for the same fee as that person over there. That's not the thing that I'm doing. But I just feel like I'm having to barter quite a lot of the time, or sometimes even having to prove my merit to somebody. Can you send me in a mix? I beg your pardon. Sorry. You know how long you want me to send you in a mix? Okay.
I get
back
that.
to baby steps.
The
It's a
issue,
lot of different things, isn't it? Obviously, that go in the mix. Can create all these obstacles, but there have been a lot of gatekeepers, because when you speak your mind, I've spoken my mind out on disparity between the imbalance of women being on lineups and things like that. You speak your mind and people go, "Oh, we're not booking her." How dare you speak?
yeah,
But
but
then
that's just
say
people.
what they like, but they still get repeatedly booked.
Yeah, but people are just weird. Promoters happen to be people, and there are a lot of weird people out there. People who haven't got the cojones, as they say. They're not people persons. They're not people. There's so many other reasons, so many arguments for it. I'm quite happy to sit here and talk like this all evening, but it is a point that you're never going to get to the bottom of, and like I say, I have noticed you be very outspoken, not in a negative way, not that I would say, oh, you can't book her, because sometimes being outspoken does achieve a lot of great things. And if some people it's worked for, and others it's gone against, because I can't see a promoter saying, oh, I'm not booking Marcia, she's well too mouthy or whatever. Who wouldn't want a mouthy DJ who's going to promote the hell out of their party? But anyway, that's a slightly negative angle to the conversation. Let's bring it back to the positive. Let's bring it back to the inspiring. Where did you turn the corner and suddenly feel that you're no longer pushing against the flow, and all of a sudden things are going exactly how you want them to be, and you're doing all these incredible gigs now?
Well, before I answer that, I would like to say that part of the conversation that we just had, I wouldn't like to say it's negative. I would say that it might enlighten some people to what's actually going on behind the scenes, because it's not just, we get a string of bookings and we think we've arrived. I'll never think that I've arrived, but there are highs and lows, aren't there, to get to your destination, I would say. I don't know what's happened post-COVID. I would say that my faith has a lot to do with it. I pray. This is going to probably sound strange to some people, but I'm a woman who believes in prayer. I'm also part of a small ministry group called DJ Unity. They're a group of online sound engineers, DJs, drum and bass producers, house producers, songwriters. What we all have in common is that we're all believers, born again believers. We believe in God and Jesus. But I pray a lot. I pray weekly with a friend of mine, and we pray about sometimes specific individual in the music industry, praying for their lives to improve. Or, you hear about somebody being ill. We pray about lots of things, and I pray and ask God for direction. So I do feel that more favor seemingly seems to have come my way because of my prayers. I really strongly believe that also I don't take it for granted.
Were you very more specific?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, there's a slight delay here now. I'm just checking my computer to see if there's any problems with the buffering. Were you any more specific with your prayers, reaching out to the universe for there to be an answer? Do you think there was anything more specific that you said?
Being direct. Yes, being direct, as in to the point. I'll pray about God to always make me be more discerning, to accepting the right kind of bookings and get rid of time wasters, or praying, Lord, well, I did this, did that. Is there something you want me to change? Every time I play, even, I'll say, Lord, I've pulled out all of these tunes, but you guide me. What do you want me to play first? Direct my steps. I always call upon the Holy Spirit to direct me, so I'm not playing tunes that are just taking up space. You know, like those tunes that we'd say in a DJ set. Oh, that's a filler. We ain't got time for fillers. We want thrillers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and we're
So
both getting older. So I want to be concentrating on being in spaces where I feel that my contribution to the DJ booth, the table as it were, is something that will deposit something good into the hearts of people, rather than going back again to those records that are just waste of time, frisbee, nonsense, disposable things. I haven't got time for that. None of us have got time for that. We lost nearly 3 years of our lives, everybody on the planet, because of the dreaded pandemic, you know. So it's even more of essence to me to try and make sure that I do my utmost, and by God's grace, I will continue to do that, to play music that just blesses the hearts of people. I call it, when I'm out on my ventures, the Seeds of Love tour. I want to play music that love music that it could be about relationships being strengthened or being reformed. You know, it could be about just somebody being healed through the music. You know, you wouldn't know this, but I'm going to tell you now, and whoever else is watching, I have a tendency, and I know certain people can verify this. I've been to events and I felt a discerning in my spirit that I need to pray for that person. And I've gone up to them and say, I have a little conversation. I say, can I pray for you? And some people have gone, actually, yeah, can you pray for me? And one person, a very known Chicago house producer, really loved this guy, his work. He had a bad stomach this particular evening. When was it? It was Halloween. And he happened to just mention it, and I prayed for them. And literally an hour later, he hadn't taken any medication or anything, came back and said that he felt much better. Now, you might think, yeah, but he might have been all right, Marcia, if he took 2 Alka-Seltzer. But I don't believe that. I believe that I was in the place at the right moment to ask him to actually be bold, because as a Christian, I'm not supposed to open my mouth and say anything. But I asked him and I said, are you okay? And he said, well, I've had a stomach upset. I came on the plane. I said, well, do you mind? He could have just said, no, don't pray for me. But he invited me to pray for him, and that was the right thing to do. So if I hadn't been there, yes, he might have got better a lot later, but I really believe that deposited something in that person that they really appreciated. I don't think they'll ever forget it.
No, definitely not.
I love moments like that. And this is somebody very well known in the music industry.
Well, we've got people here. Sorry, we've got people who are agreeing with what you're saying. Emily, she says she's done 2 gigs recently where she prayed for people at the venue. And Dan has said he's had one person ask him in his life if they could pray for him, and he wasn't ready, but they knew he needed it at the time. You know, so thank you for asking that person. That's wonderful. So we spoke about the you talk about losing 2-3 years of our lives. I think what did really well for you was your live streams. Do you want to talk about those, because you brought a great energy to those, right?
Right. So those started before the lockdown. 2 decks and a mixer. That was the series, and that was born out of. You used the word earlier, frustration. When people tell me, no, Marcia, you can't do that, or who are you? No one's going to be interested. So there have been a few other moments where people have told me that. When I started Girls Be Like, I'll tell you about that in a bit as well. That's my own club promotion. And I just thought, really? Oh, okay, then. Okay. So I thought, what am I going to do, Marcia? I thought, I haven't got a fancy film studio. I thought, what am I going to do? I really think I should have a go at this streaming, because people telling me, no one's going to be interested. So who are you? What are you wasting your time for doing that? And I really believe God spoke to me and said, Marcia, just start where you're at. But I just thought, my living room is full of records. It doesn't even look tidy. No. And he said, you need to let go of pride. And I thought, oh, no, I'm thinking in my head, my living room looks like this. Your living room looks lovely. Mine doesn't look like that. It's piles and piles of records. It looks like a warehouse. Does it not look like a record warehouse? They said, well, are you going to start where you're at and let go of pride? I thought, okay. So I started it, and it was actually called Two Decks and a Vestax Mixer. But just before they folded, it's like, I thought, oh, you know what? You can't keep using the word Vestax, because what if they come for you, even though you're not making any money from this stream? I thought, let go of that. And then literally a month later, the Vestax was like gone. And I said,
divine intervention.
It's like just before that, I must have discerned you're going to have to let go of the name. I had lots of people who were very fond of that Two Decks and a Vestax mixer, because my little mixer is a Vestax 2-channel mixer. I don't even have like fancy CDJs. It's just 2 decks. And I started it from a point of people want to communicate, so talk to them. And that's why I think it started off quite successfully. Literally, the second stream, I had 20,000 views. I was amazed by that, Andy. Can you believe that?
I completely believe it, because your personality came across immediately, and that's what it's about.
You see, like we're talking, I just was like this on my phone, because that's what I was streaming from. The phone was like, I pretended like it was a person. Mm-hmm. And people were actually engaging, and on top of that, they loved the music. So it was pride that was holding me back from that, because God said, start where you're at, never mind how the living room looks. I had 1 or 2 people pass their remarks about, oh my gosh, living room looks like a junkyard. And I just thought, Master, you just have to ignore them, just ignore them, just get on with it. And being myself on that, I've actually had all sorts of listeners. I remember one time Gregory Porter came in and watched my stream. I'm like, oh, okay, Gregory Porter, yeah. I already knew him from that point. But the fact that he took time out to come and watch the stream. What's her name? That lady. What's that name? Oh my gosh.
That lady. Come on, give me a little bit more to go on.
Terry Hunt did a record with her. I've forgotten her name now. It'll come. Melba Moore came in and watched. I've had you watch. I've had your Louis Vegas watch from time to time. Daily G, and it's nice when friends come and watch as well. But then Feisty Book, and then
yeah, but that's going to happen.
They came and cut, because I was getting maybe too many high numbers. They came and cut it. So before that actually happened, that cut-off point, 2 decks and a mixer, the roadshow was born. Again, I feel it was another God moment. And I wanted to celebrate the first birthday and then the second birthday of 2 decks and a mixer. This is how much it has grown. I started doing a roadshow. Marcia, go to the record shops, because we want to get out into the community. I thought, oh my gosh, yes, Lord, this is brilliant. Go to the record shops. So I went to record shops where I'd been, frequenting. I put a proposal out to a lot of record shops that I felt could house the idea of it. Several of them were interested, but felt they were too small to house it. So it ended up being about 5 record shops: Rye Wax, Pure Vinyl Records in Brixton. Rye Wax was in the Bussy Building in Peckham. I've done it quite a few times at BBE Records. Shouts out to Peter Darkway for letting me host it there. Where else have I done it? I did it somewhere else, I can't remember. It'll come back to me. And I invited in guests. So because I know Omar, and I'd DJ'd and opened for him before, I just put it to him. Would you like to come down and be a guest on my show, the live stream of 2 decks and a mix of the road show? But I said, what you have to do is, another idea came to me, pick and play. You can bring a couple of records from home, but you need to come to the record store and actually pick some records from their racks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug the shop. The record shops loved it because I was then kept bigging him up in the conversation. So it's great. I do need to get back on it, but it's because of time and other constraints, temporary constraints, why it hasn't resumed. But I want to get back on it, mate, because I'd love to come to your manor and come and do it. Why not?
Exactly. Well, listen, let's go back and talk about Girls Be Like, because you mentioned it.
Right, so that was one of the projects. 2 Decks in the Mix are born out of frustration because people telling me, no, you can't do that. Girls Be Like, now that was born out of being patronized, patted on the head. Oh, no. We don't need to focus on women do that, whatever. You think you are. You're asking too much favoritism. And I'm like, no, we're asking for balance. Please, can we have lineups with more women on them? So I thought, okay, then I've had enough of this. And when somebody again saying, no, there's no demand, you don't need to do that. Yes, we do, because for 40, 50 years in Clubland, the lineups are 99 point, even now, 9% men. So I thought, right, okay. I thought I'm going to just start a club. No money or anything, just start it. So it started out at the book club, which is in Shoreditch. They loved the idea. So that to me, again, was a God moment. We said, just start where you're at. And I had favor from them. So they worked with me. And I thought, right, yeah, I'm going to purposely have women on the lineup. And also, I want to celebrate some women who I feel have been around for years and they're not getting any love, as in they're not really being booked. But they're from the UK. They're London born and bred, some of them, but I don't see them getting any love, not getting any bookings. So that was the premise for it. And I thought, right, I know this person. I know a lot of people I'm in contact with. I just spoke to them on the level and said, would you be interested? This is the lay of the land. And they said, yes, Mars, because it's you, we'll happily, come and play. So October will be our 8th anniversary. So I stuck 2 fingers up to that person who said, no, there's no demand for it. And we're not putting any women on the lineup. But I just thought, and it's not much. It's just Girls Be Like. It's at its current home, which is Grow in Hackney Wick. Lovely team of people that I work with there. Shouts out to Anthony, really, really nice manager and working with me. And it's growing again, especially after lockdown. And I'm not anti-men, of course. It's not anti-men, but the premises of that is to shine a light on my female peers who I feel are not getting that much love. But there's no catch, but they have to be able to play records and have supported it in the past. So we've had live PAs there. The live PAs are artists that have had records released. So that separates the wheat from the chaff. I don't want sync button DJs coming there to play. They can go and get gigs anywhere. This is for the real deal. Like yourself, you know how to use those records in the background. Women that know how to, and they don't actually have to be able to mix. It's not about that, but I know they know how to draw tune. They know how to select tune and fling on tune on the decks and get the people moving. So it's not actually necessarily that they have to be able to mix. That is an advantage at certain points of the evening, because otherwise then I wouldn't have certain people there that have already guested there. But I know they know how to select, and it's been working really well so far. So why not? Mm-hmm. So I feel like I hope I'm making a little bit of a dent or drawing my attention to something that hopefully is worthwhile. And it's called Girls Be Like because it's like, well, girls be like this. We know how to push buttons as well. We know how to turn the turntables on, and we know what the mixer does, and we know how to put a record on the turntable. That was just my play on words.
Mm-hmm. I hear
so girls
that.
This. We're not just on the dance floor looking pretty. We know how to do it. We know how to flex it in the DJ booth.
And musically across the spectrum still.
Yes, it's the spectrum of black music we play. Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned Girls Be Like, and thank you for mentioning that, because can I plug it? Because I've got a big gig this Saturday.
Go for it. Go for it.
This Saturday, for the first time in the history of Girls Be Like, I am playing a solo 7-hour set.
Woo.
So it's just me. This Saturday at Gross. I've got like free, I'm going to have to get a cab there. Free, it might actually be 4 bags of music to take.
Well, I was going to say, you talk about draw tone. Are you still rolling with the vinyl? Do you use USBs sometimes?
I'll be right back.
She's going to get a thing. Let me just say to everyone, thank you for being here. I can see there's a world of people enjoying this conversation. Todd Gardner sends love all the way from Germany. He said he's so happy that Karen Griffith connected you. You keep telling those stories. Angela Colossus here. Glenn Burke's been sending some love. Jane Harrington. A lot of people. I'll get through all of the names in a little while. Go on. What are you going to show me?
Yes, this sister still likes to draw tunes. And yes, I'm quite adept at USB sticks now. And I've still got thousands of CDs next door, mate. And I still use them.
Thousands.
I've got thousands of them, love. Do you know what I mean? Well, thousands, do you know what I mean? Well, here's some of my favourite tunes at the moment. You can tell me what you're liking as well. Because it's good to educate people. But having said that, can I just say, you might tell me if you do this, I don't mind to educate people, but don't teeth my playlist, go off and play the tune or buy all the tunes and then claim like you discovered them first and claim like you're some big shot. When you're done, though, say that you're listening to Marcia and Andy's Mixcloud links and you wrote down every little tune and you're carrying on like, yeah, I found the tune, yeah, I played it first.
Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. Just show the records, man. Come on.
So I debuted at Cosmic Slop on Saturday in Leeds.
Actually, before you go any further, I didn't want to interrupt you talking because I need to scroll up. Jane asked me, she would love to know how you found the system, how you found Cosmic Slop at the weekend. It is well known for its sound system. So, and you answer that. That was about an hour ago. Jane asked that question. Janie.
Oh, okay. I found the system great. It took me to nestle in, it took me about 15, 20 minutes. So about three tunes and a bit, because it's a rotary setup. It's not line up, line down, like the traditional setup will say like a Pioneer or a Vestax mixer or a Behringer or something like that. It's Bozak rotary mixer they have that a guy called what's his name? Tom
Paul.
Huh?
Oh, I thought you meant from Bozak. Sorry, carry on.
No, not him. That's the mixer, that's the brand that's installed, and then it's got a rack on top of it, which isolator, treble mix, bass, and then another master unit on top of that rack. And then the 2 CDJs are off on the far right-hand side. But yeah, I liked it after about, it's like, like when you're sort of a little bit rusty on the bike. Because I have used rotary mixers before, but not often. So I am sort of semi-familiar with them. But it was just the setup of that unit that desk in that booth. After about 15, 20 minutes, I was well away. I was well away after that. I loved it. It's like the Rolls Royce of DJ booth setups. Not even Ministry of Sound have got that set up there. And the room is just the right size. And there are speakers, one in every corner. And you can still talk and have a conversation and not lose your voice and your ears aren't ringing because the guy set it up. He knows what he's doing.
Well,
and he set it up.
Cosmic Slop. Nice.
Yes, they've been going for some years now. MAP, music and production charity, set up many years ago, and it's a charity to help the disadvantaged and displaced young people with mental health issues. And they have it's not a school, but units where year 11 and upward students can come in to learn keyboard programming, and then they've got an arts creative thing and a workshop further on down in the building. So it's aimed at helping the next generation of people come through and develop their creative side if they're so inclined that way. And it's really good.
Fair play for giving them a mention.
I wanted to do, and I was chuffed when they invited me. So I thought, yes, without hesitation, partly because I wanted to play with the toys.
Get on that set, right. Well, fair play for giving them a mention, but I want to get to these records.
Yes, well, it was the answer the lady you said who asked about about it, wasn't it? No?
Yes,
right.
It was.
So I dropped this track. Which track was it? It was the Marimba Disco by George Davis from the Owner EP. It's on Kicking Up Dust. It's a small indie label, real kind of well-crafted disco, house stroke techno-ish slightly.
So these are all the records. These are all the records that you've pulled out for your 7 hours on Saturday, right? Some of them.
These are going in the bag for the gig, yes. Because I like to tell stories and take people on the journey. We can all just drop, the top 10 current fight playlist on Spotify or whatever, but what does that mean? I can ask my mum to do this.
I've had conversations with people who have said, this is just their opinion, that's one of the most anal things they've ever heard when a DJ says they're going to take you on a journey. So that's the polarization. Some people are like, you're just playing records, and other people are like, no, I'm here to tell a story, and I'm here to connect with those people who are with me on the journey. I know Schoolie will completely relate to when I say that. There are DJs who go out with the specific sole purpose of telling a story on that evening. So fair, respect.
I'm all about that, and I think it's important, especially because of my faith as well. Deposit something good into the hearts of people and let them smile, leave euphoric. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a record that's 150 BPMs. It could be some nice ballad, and they just go, "Oh wow, what was that?" Or they leave inspired, especially if I drop some gospel dance as well. For some people, that might be the closest thing to a church they ever get to, maybe, for some people. And other people, that might be the catalyst to think, boy, you know what, that girl, she played some tunes, you know what, I need to go to church. And if that's what it provokes them to do, then to me, it's not a job to me, but then I'm facilitating a role that I need to be facilitating. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, so I say it's a journey in telling a story because I connect with the records. There needs to be a message in the music, not just fling on any old tune. I don't need you to tell me about parts of my anatomy, about this, that, and the other. Play something. We've all got those. Can we just play something that's bloody means something? That would even mean political conscious tunes. Yes. Certain tunes by Marvin Gaye or Donny Hathaway, music with a message, yeah? Because we can't just have all lovey-dovey tunes. We're all being affected by Brexit in this country and other things that's leaving people in, financial straits. So the artists that actually bother to make those records, it means it's something important to them and they want to share. So I want to share those tunes as well. Music that will prick your conscience.
So what's your opinion? What's your opinion then of the? Well, maybe I don't know if this is even relevant to the conversation. I was going to say DJs who mess around too much with the music. Surely, the records should just be left to do their thing on their own.
Well, I play, if it's a good disco edit, I will play them because sometimes the original does need a little, let's just say, a little sprucing up.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not messing around with it all the way through the record, right? On the crossover.
Oh, are you talking about knob twiddling?
Exactly, yes.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant like making re-edits or something.
No.
Well, There are some DJs I admire, they do that. And yes, they do it throughout their whole set, but thankfully that's just them. There's not too many people doing that. And that's their signature style. That's fine. I can deal with it for half an hour, and I go off and hear another DJ and I'll come back. That's fine. But that is their style. So some people might think, oh, well, you're a bit boring. You play 8 minutes of the record, which is 9 minutes long. Why don't you only just play 1 minute? My style, that's not my style. I'm not Mark the 45 King or Funk Master Flex, who are, specific hip hop 7-inch DJs. My style is to give you most of the content of the record and play tune, because I'm a dancer. I want to hear the tune, not 30 seconds of the tune. So we can say the same about Joe Clausel or an EZ. I highly respect both of them. But for me, if it's doing too much of something, I'll just leave the room. But the thing is, I probably would stay. Yeah. I probably would stay, because Joe Clausel and, let's say, EZ, they're both going to have dub plates that I haven't got.
There you go. Reach in. We talk about dancers. Colin Williams has popped in and says hello. So shout out to Colin.
Hey, Colin, how you doing?
Okay, so after 20 minutes, we've got one record out of that list.
This is a great conversation, though. I'm really enjoying this.
It's wonderful.
Big up Mr. Mark Mac, yeah? Mm-hmm. Jamaica inside, represent Jamaica, yeah? This is great. Some quality kind of, if broken beat slightly meets some of his techno sort of side to Mark Mac, that's going in the bag on Saturday. And a few other bits from him, probably. Now this is a gospel tune re-edited. Oh my days, the tune is sweet. I played this at the Brixton Disco Festival. It was my last tune before Norman J came on. And people were going nuts over it. It's a really good production. This guy is also to do with underground resistance as well. Okay. But this is a quality, fine disco, kind of disco edit. The tune is fire. If you're not into gospel, you're not going to like it. But I think the tune is hardcore. It's just the way they've re-edited it. It's just swish. Very nice. An old Strictly Rhythm record.
I can't see. What is it?
No, gospel dance. It's revival. It's kind of a rarity because not many people played this tune. But Paul Trouble Anderson used to play this tune. Revival. I know he will. Deep. This is like US garage kind of style. Proper deepness, yeah? This. Gospel dance, yeah? 122 BPMs. Superb compilation by Rahan. Under the Influence for Dave Lee's label. Some nice rarities on there. I haven't got about 20 grand for all of these tunes, so let me just buy this, yeah. And save me finding them. When I was younger, I was like quite almost anal and purist about, no, I need to have, if it came out, if the first pressing was the US copy, I need to have that. They told me about the UK release. Inferior, I don't want it. But now I couldn't give a stuff. If it's clean,
yeah.
It's a clean copy. Must just play the tune, yeah? I just haven't got time now. Just play the tune. And you're playing to a newer generation, and it's nice when they come up to you and go, what is that tune? You and I will go, we've heard the tune 100 times before, and on certain soul and reggae tunes, they probably played it 1,000 times before, maybe. Some tunes, you're like, really? You couldn't find another Roy Ayers tune? Okay. Because they play the same cameo tunes or whatever. Yeah. As if those artists haven't got extensive catalogue of music. But to a new, younger generation, some of those tunes, it's good to revive some of them at the right time, because they actually do appreciate it and they want to know. Right. Now, this is produced by, it's got mixes from Delano Smith, but it's produced by Hot Girl at the moment out of Detroit, Ash Lauren, and it's on Kai Alce's label. It's on his label, yeah. It's called Underground and Black. Oof. Yeah. So it's quite a poignant title, quite
I'm
a
sure. I'm
punch.
sure. I'm sure. That's a hot tune that Martin will be spinning at some point. Mr. Lodge is a
It's
big
quite
fan of all
deep.
that.
It's quite a deep tune. It's not. I wouldn't even say it's like a main. It's not like a peak time tune. It's just one of those deeper
Right,
house.
give me one more, record because I've got a couple of questions that I wanna talk to you about.
Yeah, I pulled this out earlier. I thought, yeah, Roland Clark. This one that came out on Soul Heaven, the DJ Spen mix is bumping. You know this classic. God
Yeah.
is good, because I like to share with people that God is good. And when people book you, they book you based partly on your personality that shines through the music, yes? And I think they book me based on my personality or something about me that either comes with the music or is expressed through the music, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd like to think that's why we're being booked. And because we're still relevant to the younger generation. I know I still connect. Cosmic Slop on Saturday, the average age in there was 25, maybe 26, 27 years of age. So is that not connecting to the younger generation? That
Most
certainly is in
definitely.
my book. And I appreciate that. So sometimes I'll pull out a tune, but the tune is not just to bless the crowd, it's me to also actually praise in the booth and sing along to the tune because I'm praising unto God. And it's like I'm worshiping, say, yes, you know what? Thank you, Lord. Thank you that I'm here right now in this moment. I really appreciate, thank you that I got this booking. And I'm not going to apologize for that. If people don't like that, you don't have to book me. That's fine. But I will continue to sojourn onwards and upwards, because I really think that a lot of people need and will appreciate, maybe in hindsight down the road, need to be blessed by the music, because too much music is dark and demonic, and it's not blessing people. Our children are being influenced by these things, and I don't like what I'm seeing out here in the playing field. People are running a mockery with our lives and our spirit, and it's like, you're not doing that to my spirit. I want people to be uplifted and blessed by the music. And also, I'm a dancer, so I want people to dance to the music, even though some of them can't dance. But hopefully, the music will touch their soul. You know,
Everyone can dance. They might just not have the moves that you've got. Come on now, let's be frank. Okay, give me one more piece of vinyl. One more piece of vinyl, please.
One more, okay. I played this on Saturday, so I thought I might play this. This is a big South Soul boogie disco tune. Sing, sing, we got a boogie. We got to sing, no swing it high. I can't remember. Sing, sing.
Read it out, because I can't read it on the camera.
Well constructed.
Sing, sing by Gaz.
Proper disco, you know? Strings, orchestra, proper R&B, black disco inspired. Definitely.
Okay, so that will
a great label as well.
That'll lead me perfectly onto my next point that I was going to say, because I'm going to start wrapping this up soon. We've been talking for an hour and 45 minutes. Enthralling conversation, beautiful conversation. One of the things that I couldn't help but notice in the last couple of years, and there's two parts to this, so let me get the two parts out. What I've noticed is every time Louis Vega's in town, you're there, literally like that, at the front of the decks.
Is this a question?
Yes, there is a question. On the stream, looking at all the new dub plates that he's got, dancing to your heart's content, absolutely beside yourself with joy. And then I remember reading somewhere Louis Vega saying that you're actually one of his favourite DJs that he loves to check out every time he's in London. So the question is, how does that make you feel to have someone of Louis' caliber, who I know you absolutely admire and look up to, who makes that music that you were just describing so perfectly? How does it feel to be cited as one of his favourite UK DJs?
Well, yes, I kind of found that out recently as well. I'm like, is it? No, I'm only joking. No, I thought, wow, that's. I thought, no, hello, anybody would be touched by that, surely. Like somebody that you actually respect musically, because I can see this is not a joke thing to him. Yeah, he goes in above and beyond. lots of producers go above and beyond, but he's one of the people I respect that goes above and beyond. And he uses his connections to try and make that music as live feeling as possible by bringing in the musicians. Otherwise, everything could just be made through a computer and that's it. So I like that he's actually doing like what this is, live musicianship on the record, taking it back to the roots of black music. So it's nice, and he's got varied, wide taste of black music. So it's nice. That's great. Kerry Chandler said something similarly, and I was like bowled over. I thought that's really nice. I appreciate, and I'm not going to respect them any less or more. They know me. I'm the same person. I'm up in your face because I'm down the front because everyone at the back of the club wants to talk. And I said to somebody the other day, just joking, I said, but okay, so I came to the thing, you haven't seen me for 9 months, but you want to talk to me now, but you didn't pick up the phone in 9 months to call me. But now I'm at the thing and Louis Vega or Theo Parrish or whoever's down front or Moody Man is on there, but now you want to talk to me. Move yourself and go along. I'm here to party and listen to tunes, yeah? You can talk to me some other time. In fact, you had 9 months since I saw you last, all that time to pick up the phone if I was that much on your mind and you wanted to talk to me. I'm being a little bit facetious, but do you understand what I'm saying?
I completely relate. I completely relate.
We can chat some other time. I'm here to party, and also maybe because I've had a couple of major health issues in the last 15 years as well. One where I wasn't almost gone. I'm celebrating life. I'm not joking about this thing. Yeah. So I live in the moment. It's not sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I don't mean that. My faith and music and family are important to me. So, and the bastards out there tried to steal our lives for 3 years. God must have known what's going on. So I'm cherishing the cherry moments, all of them as they come along, because you know what, our lives can be taken in an instant and can be gone. I lost 2 friends in all of this pandemic, COVID, virus, having jabs and stuff, people that were fit and healthy, gone. So to me, life is worth the living. Life is just a moment, like Roy's Ubiquity says on the song. So I'm cherishing the moments, and I really feel grateful and blessed by every good opportunity that comes my way. And those hiccups or the gatekeepers, they only strengthen me, but they also humble me because I'm seen by other people as very strong and, you know, yeah, she's a strong black woman. You know, I'm tired of hearing that. I'm just Marcia, and I'm very passionate. That's all it is. I'm just really passionate, but I'm living every moment while I have breath. Yeah, because we just don't know when it could be either snatched from us, from the enemy, or if you die naturally. But I want to celebrate life. Yeah.
One way, that's beautiful words. One way you have been celebrating, and it was something that caught my attention, and I was very pleased because we'd already scheduled this talk. This talk's been scheduled a while back, but not long after I scheduled the talk, I saw a post from Arup Roy, and you've been playing a lot. You've been playing a lot of his parties, and his words about you as well were really like, you tore the arse. Excuse my French. Tore the arse out of the parties. The youngsters loved your music and they loved your energy behind the decks. So you know, you making a proper name for yourself there, right?
Well, because I can't just sort of stand there, heads down, and just go, yeah, let me press this effect that on the pre-programmed mix that I brought on my laptop, I want to take 10 grand off you for just adding effects on that mix. That's not DJ, man. I'm a dancer, so I feel the music. I really feel the music, even though I've got knee joints that are a bit rusty at the moment. I have a bop. I have a good old bop. So if I'm nodding my head fiercely or I'm singing along, that's also because I actually do that on the dance floor. If I know the tune, the vocals, I'm not really doing anything different that I wouldn't do if I was on the dance floor with my friends. If I know the tune, I invariably do sing along, you know, so that's all that is, really. I'm just being myself. And also, I hate when the kids come at the front. I'm trying to break this. You're not going to stand there for 2 hours on your phone and you're right at the front of the stage. No, 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 no. I say, if you don't want to dance, I actually said that at a Rook's thing. I took the mic. I said, let's give a Rook a big roar, because he put on this series, a Rook Roy and Friends, and it went down very well. And considering his background as Asian, that's a big thing. So hats off and salute to a Rook Roy doing that. I said, if you're going to stay down the front, you're going to dance, yeah? If you want to chat or be on your phone, go down the back. Yeah, skedaddle. They all just started dancing because, like, Auntie Marcia's not here to tell you off, but you need to dance or go down the back. And I know it's because, you know what, because they don't know the tunes and they can't smoke and preoccupy themselves with their hands with something, so they start fiddling with their phone. But no, just dance. You don't need to know the tune or have 10 beers. Just bloody well dance.
And Victoria Morgan has been posting all through the interview saying how much she's enjoying the conversation, and she says you're a Trojan on that dance floor, and she loves going out with you. So
I think I'm just being me, and even on a quiet night, if I've got a headache or something, or just be quite tired, I'll still. The music touches me as well. It's not me being pretentious in the DJ booth. The Cosmic Slop on Saturday, I played one of many tunes that was a highlight, was a new record that I played, and it's a drum and bass tune. And everybody in the place went nuts to this tune because I worked it on the mixer as well. A lot of booming bass coming from the left speaker to the right speaker, and, it clips in, and people were going like, I've got the video clip, I posted it on Instagram. You could hear them go, what? They were like that. And then when it got to the breakdown, and the bit, when it's going to come up again, I said, come on. I went like that, come on. And I'm like getting them into it, like, you're not going to stand there like you're like some corpse. Move your bloody self. Dance.
I love it.
And they were like, and I even said some of them that could hear me, who were just within earshot, I said, come on, let's get low. And they got low with me. So it's great. Yes. I just thought, get low, come on. And that's the second or third time I've done that. And each time it's just the right time. It worked in that moment. Obviously, I'm not like 0 to 100 in a 2-3 hour set like that. You can't sustain that, You've got to have mellow moments as well. I'm not just pumping it. Again, I'll reiterate, I like to tell stories. It's about a journey. So I'm telling you, it's like a book. Here's the book. We're going to go through this book, chapter and verse. And, people's attention needs to get back to going beyond the goldfish point. Yeah. Goldfish in a bowl moment. It's got to grow beyond that. Our attention span it's in a deficit, isn't it? Yeah. We need to get back to hearing longer songs and that sort of thing. These tunes, this was like 38 minutes long. Now the tunes are like 3 minutes long because people's attention span. I'm like, but you're just getting warmed up.
The era of Spotify. Well, you talk about attention spans, Marcia. Here we are, nearly 2 hours into this conversation, and people are loving every second of this. Deli G talking about 2 hours into it. Deli jumps in and says, "Good evening, everyone." Like we just started. We did mention you earlier. We did give you a lot of love earlier.
This is schoolboy Phillips. How are you? Hello, Jane. How are you? Her brother's a bloody brilliant DJ, Steve Harrington.
Isn't he just? Oh, so you have got your eye on the chat there. There's me reciting all these chats, and you can read them.
No, I can't see all of it because my thing's moving slow. But
okay, let me ask you then. We've had a great conversation. We got a third of the way into your life story, and then we went off on a brilliant tangent, which I really enjoyed. Do you feel, as time goes on, that you are mellowing out a little bit and being a little bit more accepting of the scene and the way you've been dealt, or are you just as passionate and just as determined to continue to rise and rise? Where are you at, and where do you see yourself going?
Every day is a new day. You have to pick your battles. Yes, you can't win the war for everyone. And some other people need to pick up the slack. There are some women out there who are, I wouldn't say they're picking up the slack. They've been doing their own thing, but maybe under the radar, but not everybody's aware of them. And they're championing or trying to fight on the behalf of women as well. And what I like is none of us are anti-men. Of course, it's not that. I love men. It's not we're anti-men. That's my clip there. Myself. I'm not anti-men. No. Quite the contrary. Not that, but we want to be not some little speck on a flyer. We need the playing field needs to be a bit more level, because we've always been in the dance, yeah? Mm-hmm. But we've just always been pushed to the side, or we're obscure in the background. But we've always been here. We didn't go anywhere. And so now, yes, more of us are learning equipment more. They can't just keep us out anymore. We just want to see a bit more balance on lineups. If you've got 40 DJs, then why can't half of them, or nearly half, be women? And can I say, not just any old women. I don't like these tick box exercises. Oh, let's have a bird in there for the sake of it. But she can't mix. All she knows to do is how to sync and auto cue, and she can't do anything else. No. Can we have some real players out here, because we do exist, whether they can mix or not? Can we actually have some people that know what they're bloody well doing, because they are out here? Because equally, some of my male peers are crap, but they just get away with it, don't they? Come on, Andy, let's be fair. Some of your male peers, they're rubbish. They're not worth a pinch of salt even, but because of their name, if they're held in such high esteem, they've been getting away with blue-ass murder for decades, some people. And some people, they're getting on a hype team. Fine, whatever, people will hustle. We're always hustling here in the music industry, and people climbing over each other. But you and I, guess what? We're still here. Some people, where are they? They're not even with the tumbleweed. Them disappeared, them gone. They've gone into something else. But they came, they saw, and they robbed and left. Mm-hmm. But I think people like yourself, Schoolie on there, Neil, Delhi, Colin, we are the stalwarts, yeah? The real deal out here. And whether we're male or female, we need to be paid our worth. Yes? And that doesn't mean I'm defensive or difficult or, Marcia, she's a bit feisty, isn't she? Feisty. I've had these terms thrown at me, but they're in the wrong context. And because they're in the wrong context, yes, they are bloody offensive. And don't book me as the girl, just, it's because it's International Women's Month, so we thought we should have women DJ. But so what? I had to say to somebody 2 years ago, I said, guess what? I'm a woman 365 days a year. Did you know that? It's not just for the month of March.
Fair play. There's no comeback to that, is there?
This was them. I didn't mean it like that. You don't need to be like that. I said, listen to the question. Look the proposal you put to me. Oh, yeah. It just hadn't occurred to them. And it needs to occur to more people, and they need to bloody well wake up. George Floyd's death woke up 0.1%, maybe more, of the population in the Western world. I don't think we've come that many steps far forward, really, because we still have racism to deal with, sexism. Even with the racism, there's the colorism, there's the light skin versus the dark skin. As a woman, I have to deal with all of this nonsense as well. Mm-hmm. But those things just spur me on. I'm like, you're not going to take me out, because I'm here for the music. I really like to think I'm here for the music. Otherwise, if it was to make money, well, then we would have dead for hungry, as we say in Jamaica, because I've not really made any money. My money goes back in to buying a lot of my tunes. So if it was to be a millionaire, well, then I should just go and be an EDM DJ. I'll just pop off to the States, why don't I? And make some of that noise bleeding music.
So that was the most perfect answer to my question. Are you mellowing slightly?
I am mellowing in a little bit in that. No, you know what? I'm not even going to justify that comment with online with an answer. Mars, no, leave it. Just leave it. You have to be like that sometimes, don't you?
Girls be like that.
Yes, and then other times you think, you know what? I'm tired of this crap today. You're gonna know what time it is. You know, so
and does it achieve anything? Does it achieve anything?
Well, I think with the project, Girls Be Light is making a small little impact to be heard. We are becoming a little bit more visible. What I just need there is more money injection so I can book a few more people that are classed as A-list because they've heard about it and they'd like to come and play, but I don't have the finances to facilitate them to pay their fee, you know, and stuff. So
who would be the first person? If forgive me, I don't mean to talk over you because there's a very slight delay. If you had an open bag of money, who would be the first person you would bring to play at Girls Be Like?
I like Carista. She's from Amsterdam or Holland. Black girl, has a bald head. She plays records. I also like Cassie. I like what's her name? Oh gosh, her name's gone from my name. The producer, she makes.
I've put you on the spot now. I didn't mean
Heidi.
Okay.
Heidi from the States. Ash Lauren. Mm-hmm. Ash Lauren, sorry. Ash Lauren, because she does play records.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you just got to pray a little harder.
Manana. I've mispronounced her surname, but is she from Seattle or something like that?
But there's not a lot of UK. There's not a lot of UK names there, Marcia. Be careful because people will start coming for you. Get some UK names on there.
Every DJ on the lineup that has played so far, apart from one who by birth is from New Zealand, but she's been a resident in England for about 34 years, and that's Nikki Lucas. All of the DJs are British, all of them. But I'm saying in terms of having a so-called name, because I actually don't think that many of us here in the UK are even put on the same level as some of our peers across the pond. We aren't.
I think that's
another kind of worm topic. That is something I might disagree with. Like, again, show me on the lineups where that's reflected, and then I'll take it back, because we're not. They just about let DJ Paulette and just about let Smoking Joe, just about let Nancy Noise and a couple other women, but that's it. That are considered up there. We're not. None of us, even all together, we're not considered up there like the ones that are on agents' books right now that are bandied about the place. You know, flavour of the month, hot toddy of the moment. Because it's all BS politics in some of those things. But we soldier on because, why do we all soldier on? Because it's for the love of music. That's why we're still here. I show big respect to DJ Paul and Smoking Joe, because that's another topic. They're dark-skinned black women who, if they were lighter skinned, their names would be in in other people's mouths much more. Like some of our other black sisters who are lighter skinned and who've only been here in the industry 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. I'm just going to say it as it is. And I don't disrespect, these people. They're actually good at what they do. But I'm going to go back to like the army stripes.
Mm-hmm.
You've earned loads of them, yeah? When I see one on couple of them, When I see none on the others. Okay.
Marcia, listen, I could quite easily sit talking with you all night because you are very opinionated. Comes across as a very negative word sometimes, but
Exactly.
You have very strong opinions and you have a lot to say, and we've all right because you've got a lot of time in this industry. You've seen changes come and go. You've had ups and downs, and at this moment in time, you are currently riding high with your energy and your enthusiasm and your love and your appreciation. And so we wish you that it continues, and you've seen nothing but love inside this chat tonight.
Thank you. And for yourself, keep on doing what you're doing with the streams. These sorts of things, your program should be commissioned to be on Channel 4, because people actually still do watch television. This is what will the influence and adjust the flash in the pan thinking of the next generation, because they need, if they don't have us, how are they going to learn? And if we all just caved in and just either hung up our headphones and just did it the easy way out, it would even be more devastating than the impact that has already had a negative impact on the industry.
Well, thank you for saying so. And Simon says, "Long may you reign, our queen." And you're sounding very much like he's always in my ear saying those same kind of words. So the only way I can end this mammoth conversation is by saying thank you very much, and we'll get you on again with more people. And we'll get into one of those deep conversations. I love talking to people who have got no fear of speaking their mind. They're not worried about the repercussions of what they had to say. And you've said some. You've made some fantastic
I wasn't being
points.
rude. I wasn't being rude. I'm speaking as I find the lay of the land, matter of fact. And also, I know it's not just me speaking this. I didn't call anyone's name rudely in a negative way at all. I'm just speaking as I find. So how is, do you know what I mean? People just want to just sweep things under the carpet sometimes, and the shag pile is looking like a mountain. There's so much dirt under there.
I get you.
Sweeping it under the carpet is not helping anyone. And as I say, I don't feel I was being rude. I'm just talking about the state of affairs. That's all.
Mm-hmm. You've spoken nothing but facts and truth tonight, and we thank you for that.
I haven't even talked about people trying to step to me as in being sexually inappropriate, or that's another topic. Do you know what I mean? And that has blocked me from a few things as well. But we can talk about that on a podcast or something another time. But because that's another thing, I won't entertain it.
I couldn't. Sorry, I didn't mean to. That was quite an important topic that you brought up. Then I won't skip past it. We will talk about that for sure. Whenever you want to, we're always here for you. But Rupert says you never spoke about the time you did a backflip at the Satellite Club. This is going to be the final part. What is this? What's it talking about?
Yes, rude boy Rupert. How are you, darling? Oh my gosh. I think that was in Levan's Comet. And I named that room Levan's Comet. I named that room because Nikki Smith started the Satellite Club, and I worked with her on that project. Not many people know this. I actually worked with her on behind the scenes and on the PR of that project.
Okay.
And the main room, which was the hard house room, do you remember, with Craig DeMeck and Dave Lambert and Dave Pierce, Piercey boy, all them lot, they were in the hard house room. And Levan's Comet, which I named, I said, let's do something in tribute to Larry Levan. And because she was about this theme of stars and space, I said, let's call it Levan's Comet, as if it was discovered because he, in his own style and fashion, was kind of unique. So I said, let's call that room. And she loved it. So that's why that room was decorated as such and named in reference to Larry Levan. I'm the one who came up with that. So I think it's that room that he's referring to. And I was doing my little dance thing and ran up the wall and did a backflip. That's what I can't do that now. I've got major back issues and quite bad arthritis in both knee joints. Years of dancing, basketball, and running.
if we weren't talking so passionately about the music all night, we could have got a lot more of your history, but we haven't. So that's another conversation.
It's
Marcia,
good that they didn't get it all. It's good that they didn't get it all. So
exactly.
Something will be an element of surprise somewhere, some other time, God willing.
Keep them wanting. Marcia, thank you so much. I've really loved this.
Thank you so much, Andy, and keep up the good work. Love to your family. One love and God bless, and to everyone who took the time to tune in. Thank you.
Take care. Wonderful. Cheers. Ah, beautiful. Great conversation, right? Get rid of those. Yeah, we could have spoke all night, but you know what it's like. 2 hours and 10 minutes into the chat, and we only actually got to do this because about 3 minutes before 7 o'clock, I was like, Marcia, are you around? We do need to do this conversation. You know, Marcia's been very busy at home, but we were on time and we had a great chat. You think tonight was good? Check this out. On Thursday, I'm going to be talking to these two amazing music people, Mr. Jonathan Woodliff and Mr. Colin Curtis together. I've spoken to them both before on the show, and we're going to try and put together any pieces that we may have missed when speaking before. And also my question to them is to clear up any misconceptions about UK music on the black music scene, and to just have another little bit of a conversation. Whenever I get the opportunity, why wouldn't I want to speak to people of that caliber? Thank you to everybody inside the chat that's been with me. It's been thoroughly enjoyed. I've appreciated all of your feedback. As I did say yesterday, I was doing a live stream from home and I got kicked off of YouTube, so I wasn't able to go live on YouTube. But it's been great over here on Facebook. And I see a few more of you have spent the time watching the conversation tonight. So thank you. I've said thank you way too many times. If you have recently subscribed, then you will see yourself on the channel. And thank you all. And thank you to all of my Access crew over here on the right-hand side, supporting on a monthly basis. And if you need any graphics or any websites or videos, then do get in touch with me. I am your man. Thank you. Lots of love.